Fakat toplantı salonumuza teşrif etmişlerdir. Kendilerine grubumuz adına hoş geldiniz diyorum. Haftalık olağan grup genel kurul toplantımızın 27. dönem 2. yasama yılı 3. birleşimini açıyorum. Grup toplantımıza teşrif eden misafirlerimizi sizlerle paylaşmak istiyorum. Grup toplantımıza teşrif eden Avrupa Alevi Dernekleri Başkanı ve Yönetim Kurulu üyeleri, Kahramanmaraş Bertiz Spor ve Bertiz Vakıf üyeleri, Kırıkkale Engelliler Derneği Başkanı ve üyeleri, Ağrı Kardelenler Platformu, Gaziantep Şahin Bey Belediye Başkanı, Adana Sayın İlçe Teşkilatımız, Ankara Çankaya Kadın Kollarımız, Samsun Tekkeköy İlçe Teşkilatımız, Denizli İlçe Teşkilatımız ve Denizli Engelliler Derneği üyeleri, Yalova Çiftlikköy İlçe Teşkilatımız, Hatay Antakya İlçe Başkanı ve Yönetim Kurulu üyeleri, Aydın Köşk İlçe Teşkilatımız, Tekirdağ Çerkezköy İlçe Teşkilatımız, Bursa İlçe Başkanı ve Teşkilatı, Kadın Kolları, Gençlik Kolları ve Gürsü İlçe Teşkilatımız, Düzce İl Başkanı, Belediye Başkanı, Meclis üyeleri ve Belde Belediye Başkanı, Kahramanmaraş 12 Şubat İlçe Yönetim Kurulu üyeleri, İstanbul Özel Halk Otobüsleri Başkanı ve Yönetim Kurulu üyeleri, Amasya Merzifon Muhtarlar Derneği Yönetim Kurulu üyeleri, Erzurum Palandöken Pasinler Aziziye Muhtarları, Aziziye Ziraat Odası Başkanı, Bursa İl Dernekler Federasyonu üyeleri ve Bursa Yerel Basın Temsilcileri, tüm misafirlerimize grubumuz adına tekrar hoş geldiniz, sefalar getirdiniz diyorum. Sayın Genel Başkanımız ve Cumhurbaşkanımızı haftalık grup konuşmasını yapmak üzere kürsüye teşriflerini arz ederim.
Aziz milletim,
my beloved nation,
değerli milletvekili arkadaşlarım,
my distinguished friends, members
kıymetli
of parliament,
misafirler,
esteemed guests,
sizlere kalbi duygularımla, hasretle, muhabbetle selamlıyorum. Grup toplantımızın partimiz ve ülkemiz için hayırlara vesile olmasını Rabbimden niyaz ediyorum. Geçtiğimiz hafta gerçekten çok güzel manzaralara şahitlik ettiğimiz bir Moldova ziyaretimiz oldu. Moldova'da hem Cumhurbaşkanı Sayın Dodon hem Sayın Başbakan, Sayın Başbakan'ın mensubu olduğu partinin Sayın Genel Başkanı ve diğer yetkililerle çok verimli görüşmeler gerçekleştirdik. Bu ülkenin ayrılmaz bir parçası olarak gördüğümüz Gökoğuz yerinde de soydaşlarımızla hasret giderdik ve çeşitli programlara katıldık. Hatta büyük bir meydan mitingini, yaklaşık 15.000 kişinin katıldığı bir meydan mitingini orada soydaşlarımızla yerine getirdik. Tabii birçok eserin de orada açılışını yaptık. Bu eserleri biz yaptık. Ve Türk milleti adına oradaki soydaşlarına bunlar birer hediye. Kısa bir süre önce gittiğimiz Macaristan'da da çok güzel anılarla döndük. Bildiğiniz gibi orada da Gül Baba türbesinin ele alınarak restorasyonu ve ihyası çalışmalarını yaparak hakikaten eseri çok daha farklı bir konuma taşıdı. Balkan ve Doğu Avrupa coğrafyasında nereye ayak basarsak basalım aynı hüsnü kabulle, aynı muhabbetle karşılaşıyoruz. Hep söylediğimiz gibi bizim fiziki sınırlarımız başkadır, gönül sınırlarımız bambaşkadır. Gönül sınırlarımız içindeki dostlarımızla, kardeşlerimizle, soydaşlarımızla olan ilişkilerimizi asırlar sonra tekrar olması gereken düzeye çıkartıyoruz. Biz bir adım attığımızda muhataplarımızın buna 3-5 adımla karşılık vermesi, oralarda aynı özlemin, aynı sevginin yaşadığının işaretidir. İnşallah bu irtibatı her geçen gün daha da sıklaştırarak dostlarımızla birlikte güvenli ve müreffeh bir ortak gelecek inşasını kesintisiz sürdüreceğiz. Cuma günü İzmir'deyim. Cumartesi Diyarbakır'da, pazar günü de İstanbul'da çeşitli programlarda vatandaşlarımızla kucaklaştık, hasbihal ettik, hasret giderdik. İzmir'de açılışını yaptığımız ve ülkemiz için çok kritik bir yatırım olan Star rafinerisinin de hayırlı olmasını diliyorum. Azerbaycan Devlet Petrol Şirketi Sokar Star rafinerisini toplam 6,3 milyar dolar yatırımla ülkemize kazandırmıştır. Bu Azerbaycan'ın aslında bütünüyle ele aldığımızda Türkiye'de 10 milyar dolarlık bir yatırımıdır. İlham kardeşimizle birlikte bu açılışı gerçekleştirdik ve ülkemize, Azerbaycan'a hayırlı olmasını diliyorum. Tabii Avrupa, Orta Doğu ve Kuzey Afrika bölgesindeki en büyük petrol tesislerinden biri olarak faaliyet gösterecek bu tesisle cari açığımızı da 1,5 milyar dolar azaltıyoruz. Böyle de bir faydası var. Günde 214 bin varil, yılda 10 milyon ton ham petrol işleme kapasitesine ve 1,6 milyon metreküp depolama kapasitesine sahip rafineride dizel, nafta, jet yakıtı ve LPG gibi petrol ürünlerinin üretimi gerçekleştirilecek. Bu yatırımın hayata geçirilmesi konusundaki dirayeti ve desteği sebebiyle dostum Azerbaycan Cumhurbaşkanı Sayın Aliyev'e bir kez daha şahsım milletim adına teşekkür ediyorum. Tabii bu tesiste aynı zamanda bildiğiniz gibi daha işin başında burası özelleştirmeyle Azerbaycan tarafına geçtikten sonra bir de burada liman inşası gerçekleştirildi. Bunun yanında yine aynı yerde rüzgar enerji santrali gerçekleştirildi. Bütünüyle çok ciddi bir kompleks. Cumartesi günü Diyarbakır'da 33 bin kişilik yeni stadyumumuzda düzenlenen Gençlik
in our
Festivali'nde
new stadium, city stadium of
gençlerimizle ve
33,000 people.
sporcularımızla
We had a youth
buluştuk.
festival. We
Burada
had
siyasetçi ve
athletes
sporcularımızdan
and young
oluşan
people
ünlüler takımları
from the city. We
arasındaki
had teams
müsabakanın
of politicians
başlama
versus
vuruşunu
athletes, and
yaptık.
the match, the game,
Akşam
if
da
you will,
Diyarbakır
the starting kick.
teşkilatımızda
I did
ve
the
sivil
starting kick
toplum
myself.
kuruluşlarımızın
And on the
temsilcileriyle
same day,
bir araya
we
gelerek
met with our
hasbihal
Diyarbakır
ettik,
organization
hasrettik.
of our political party,
Pazar günü
representatives
İstanbul'da
of NGOs.
önce
On
Türkiye
Sunday,
Gençlik
I was in
Vakfı'nın
Istanbul,
yeni genel merkez
initially
binasının
for the
açılışı
inauguration of
vesilesiyle
the new HQ
gençlerimiz de
premises of
bir araya
the
geldi.
Turkish Youth
Ardından
Association
Kamboçya'dan
Foundation,
ülkemize
and we met
bu
with young
seviyede
people, and that
yapılan
was
ilk
followed
ziyaret
by
dolayısıyla
our meeting
Başbakan
with Prime
Sayın
Minister
Hun
Hun
Sen'i
Sen
misafir
of
etti.
Cambodia. That
Daha
actually
sonra
was
da
the first visit
Üsküdar
of that
Çekmeköy
level from
metro
Cambodia to
hattının
our
9,5
country. And then
kilometreden
we
ve
had the
7
ceremony for the
istasyondan
opening
oluşan
of the
ikinci
second phase
kısmı
of Üsküdar to
Ümraniye
Çekmeköy metro
Çekmeköy
line,
bölümünü
which consists
hizmete
of
açtı.
9.5 kilometers and 7
İstanbul'un
stations.
ulaşım
That is
sorununun
between
çözümüne
Ümraniye
yönelik
and
bu
Çekmeköy.
yatırımlarımızı
So these investments of ours to solve the transportation problems in Istanbul will continue without a break. And at the ceremony for this metro line, we had about 20,000 people. That was indeed a scene, that was indeed a sight to behold. And of course, we will not stop, we will not leave it at there, and by the end of March 2019 we will be continuing the series of opening ceremonies, if you will. So each of these cities that I've just listed are of symbolic value for our country, and of course this is also a picture of unity, of togetherness, of solidarity, of our nation coming together and taking ownership of their fate and future. And I would like to now go ahead and extend my gratitude to my citizens in all three cities I've mentioned for their hospitality and for warmly welcoming us. Dear friends, now in this part of our parliamentary group meeting, I would like to go ahead and talk about the fate of the journalist Jamal Khashoggi, who now we know for certain was murdered in the consulate of Saudi Arabia in Istanbul, and I will try and be thorough in my assessment of what happened. First of all, I would like to honor the memory of the late Jamal Khashoggi. May his soul rest in peace, and I extend my condolences to his fiancée, to his family, to his friends, to the people of Saudi Arabia, of which he was a citizen, and to the media world in general. Now, let's do a refresh of our memory, if you will, as regards what has happened. Jamal Khashoggi, for the first time, on the 28th of September, Friday, at 11:50, goes into the chief consulate of Saudi Arabia in Istanbul for marriage related reasons. And it is now understood that this visit of Khashoggi was actually the information was given to the team that planned and executed the murder of the journalist. So that was the beginning of that planning phase. And some consulate officials actually left for their countries in a haste, and this points in the direction that some preparation work was indeed done. On October 1st at 16:30, a day before the operation, Monday that is, at 4:30 in the afternoon, a team of 3 comes to Istanbul through a scheduled flight, a commercial flight. They go to a hotel first and then to the consulate. So, in the meantime, another team of people from the consulate go on an exploration mission to the Belgrade forest and to the city of Yalova. On the 2nd of October at 1:45 a.m., a team of 3 people again took a scheduled flight to Istanbul and went to their hotel. A third team of 9 people, including generals, took a private plane, landed at the airport, and went to another hotel for the night. So overall, the team we're looking at is a total of 15 people. And this team of people, from 9:50 to 11 a.m., they come in different groups to the consulate and meet there. The first thing they do is to remove the hard disk in the camera system of the consulate. And in the meantime, Jamal Khashoggi was telephoned at 11:50 to confirm his appointment on that day. On the same day, at early hours, Khashoggi comes from London to Istanbul and enters on foot into the consular building at 13:08. The fiancé was with him at that point in time, and after that point in time, no information was obtained from him, no news of him came out. At 17:15 that day, in the evening hours, the fiancé, Mr. Khashoggi's fiancé, resorts to the official authorities of our country, telling the authorities that Mr. Khashoggi was being held at the consular building against his will and that something bad might have happened to him. Upon which the relevant units of the Director General of the Turkish National Police in Istanbul start the investigation. They have a look at the security cameras, examine the footage, and it becomes certain at that point in time that Mr. Khashoggi indeed did not leave the consular building. And of course, as per the Vienna Convention, they have diplomatic immunity, but of course now that's also being discussed. Ms. Mogherini also made a statement about this point, so this Vienna Convention will probably need to be discussed and revised. So, due to this diplomatic immunity, initially no concrete step was taken vis-à-vis the building and the officials of the consulate. So the Turkish National Police and our intelligence start looking into the matter in depth, and the office of the Istanbul Chief Public Prosecutor appoints an acting prosecutor, and they initiate the investigation. Of course, as more in-depth information is collected, things start getting interesting. First of all, starting from the day prior to the day of the murder, different planes were taken by a total of 15 Saudi safety, intelligence and forensics experts who came to our country. 6 of this team leave on October 2nd at 18:20. 7 of them leave on the same day at 22:50, taking private planes. And also another person who was given the impression or the look of Mr. Jamal Khashoggi with his outfit, with his glasses and the beard. This individual and the individual accompanying him also took a scheduled flight after midnight to Riyadh. And on the day of the incident, the personnel working at the consulate and the residents were gathered together, and the explanation given to them was that there was an inspection going on. Then they were let go that day. They were asked to leave. So the administration of Saudi Arabia first rejected the claims on October 4th that Khashoggi was killed, and the chief consulate officer actually invites on October 6th a correspondent of Reuters inside the consular building, and he opens and closes doors of cupboards, the utility panes, and different areas of the consular office. But of course that was done in a manner that was far from being serious. But in the meantime, our national police, our intelligence services, our prosecution services continue to concentrate on their investigations, obtaining information and documentation. And our Ministry of Foreign Affairs also was in constant communication with their counterparts to discuss the issue and to share information. On October 11, there was a group of special representatives who came to our country from Saudi Arabia, and different contacts were made with them. And of course, after the matter being kept on the agenda by our community, by our press community, by the global media focusing on this issue, the consular services allowed the consular premises to be searched. Of course, dear friends, we have to ask certain questions and find answers to these questions, because this incident happened in Istanbul, and we have as a result, responsibility. So we as people of responsibility, we have the right to ask these questions. As things start to clarify, of course, other countries started taking action. And at every opportunity, of course, we've made it clear that we will not remain silent in the face of this murder, and that we will take every step required by our conscience and by the law. On top of that, of course, we had to wait for the end of the examinations and the investigations so that we would not falsely incriminate anyone. His Excellency, the King of Saudi Arabia, Salman bin Abdulaziz, the custodian of the two holy mosques, we had a phone conversation with him for the first time on the 14th of October, and I explained to him the present situation in light of the information we had at that point in time. And during this telephone conversation, I actually explained to him the talks we had with the special delegation of representatives he had previously sent, and I informed him of our joint decision to have a joint investigative group. And we had an agreement on the fact that this would be the path to follow. Upon the instructions of the King, teams from the prosecution service and from our Turkish National Police went into the consular premises and did some examination. Of course, before that, it was not allowed by the consular officials. And when that first team of representatives came and talked to me, I explained certain things to this team of representatives as to how insufficient and incompetent this the consul was, and I conveyed the same message to His Excellency the King as well. So after that conversation, the following day, the Consul General was removed from his position. In the meantime, the Consul General, who was in Istanbul, had to go back to his country. He left. So there was another round of examinations in the consular premises on the 18th of October. On the 19th of October, that is to say 17 days after the murder, the Saudi administration officially admitted that Jamal Khashoggi was murdered inside the consular premises, inside the consular building. In the statement from the administration, it was mentioned that Khashoggi died during a brawl that erupted in the building. On the same day, in later hours of the day, I had another phone conversation with the King, Salman bin Abdulaziz. He told me that after the acknowledgement of the murder, 18 people who were implicated were arrested. That was the information he provided to me. And the individuals on the list that was provided to our country, well, we found out that they were the same names as determined by our security and national intelligence services. So this team of 15 people plus 3 others. These 3 others were already consular officials. So, of course, this development is important in the sense that the murder was officially acknowledged and accepted. On the 21st of October, I had a comprehensive phone conversation with President Trump of the United States of America. And we had an agreement that the incident needs to be clarified in all of its aspects. Of course, as the government of Turkey, as the state of Turkey, we have handled this whole process in compliance with the seriousness of these state matters and affairs, international law and the legislation of our country. Despite this being the case, of course, certain media outlets conducted a campaign in order to blame our country and implicate our country and to shift focus, shift the attention of the people, and we know full well who was behind this campaign and what their purpose was. Of course, these attempts to assassinate the nature of seriousness that our country has shown has not kept us from fully investigating what has happened. Well, before everything, this murder, yes, was indeed committed in the Saudi consular building, which is considered as Saudi soil. But one must not forget that that area is within the boundaries of the Republic of Turkey. Also, the Vienna Convention and other rules of international law do not allow the investigation of such a vicious murder to be prevented by resorting to the shield of diplomatic immunity. Of course, we will investigate this murder which was committed inside our country in all of its aspects. We will look into it and we will do whatever is necessary. On the other hand, of course, Jamal Khashoggi was a Saudi national, but on top of that, he was a world-renowned journalist. And this, of course, gives us an international responsibility. On top of her own sovereignty rights, Turkey will be persistent in the follow-up of this incident on behalf of the international community and as a representative of the joint conscience of mankind. The information and the evidence that we have so far collected indicate that Jamal Khashoggi was slain in a vicious, violent murder. Whitewashing such barbarity will, of course, injure and wound the conscience of all humanity. And we are, of course, looking forward to the same sensitivity being demonstrated by the administration of Saudi Arabia and all other parties to this affair. Dear friends, the Saudi Arabian administration took an important step by acknowledging and admitting the murder. And now our expectation from them going forward is that all those responsible from the highest degree, highest level to the lowest level will be highlighted, will be brought to justice and will get the punishment they deserve. And there are indeed strong signs that the incident was not a momentary issue or a momentary result of something that erupted on site, but rather the result of a planned operation. And of course, in light of the existing information, the following questions still are relevant. So all 15 people who have backgrounds that are in one way or another connected to what happened or what was planned. Why was this team of people assembled in Istanbul on that day, on the day of the murder? Who gave the instruction to these individuals to come to Istanbul? We're looking for an answer to this question as well. Why was the consular premises not opened to examinations on that day or the following day, but many days later? We need an answer to this. Now, as it is now clear, of course, there was a murder, and it was clear from the beginning. Then why was there a slurry of incoherent statements? And now there is official acknowledgement that there was a murder. Where is the body? Why do we still not have the body? If the information that the body was given to a local cooperator, co-conspirator, and this is information by an authority, by the way. Now, my question is, who is this local co-conspirator? Because it's not an ordinary person mentioning this local co-conspirator, it is a person of authority from Saudi Arabia who made that statement. So you have to reveal the identity of this local co-conspirator. You will do this. Before these questions are answered, no one should have the faintest idea that what happened will be covered up. So, there is, of course, some additional information that is now being assessed by our security and intelligence services, but of course that information also points to the fact that the incident was pre-planned, premeditated. As the examination of these bits of pieces of information is complete, it will, of course, make its way into the official investigation filed by the prosecution services. Of course, we cannot put the blame on a number of security or intelligence officials for such an incident. It will not satisfy either us or the international community. And the international conscience will only be satisfied when everyone is held accountable, the executors and the persons or the people who gave the instruction. Personally, I do not doubt the sincerity of His Excellency the King Salman bin Abdulaziz, custodian of the two holy mosques. However, it is very, very important that there is a truly impartial and just delegation that does the investigation, looking into what has happened. And since this is a political murder, if there are other people or circles implicated in other countries, they have to be included in that investigation as well. This is the requirement of international law, Islamic law, and I also believe that a requirement of the law of the land of Saudi Arabia. As Turkey, we will continue to follow up on this matter, and whatever is required by our own laws and international law, we will make sure that those steps are taken. Also, let me make a call here today. Here's the call. This is a call to His Excellency the King of Saudi Arabia, Salman bin Abdulaziz, custodian of the two holy mosques, and of course the senior officials of the administration. Now, this incident took place in Istanbul. Therefore, this team of 15 plus 3, 18 people, their trials, I'm proposing that their trials be held in Istanbul. Of course, it's their prerogative, it's their appreciation, but this is my recommendation, this is my suggestion, because this is where the incident happened. Dear friends, another subject on our agenda is the developments around the discussions on an amnesty and the issue of national oath that are recent. Now, as you know, with the 15th of July, Turkey entered into a new era in many matters, including political alliances and cooperation. And this cooperation environment and atmosphere contributed a great deal to the success of our fight against terrorist organizations in our country. Now, in the process of switching over to this new system, along with the MHP, the Nationalist Movement Party, we have been involved in a very efficient alliance, first in the parliament and then in the referendum of the 16th of April and then finally in the elections on the 24th of June. Of course, the nation itself made this alliance, the People's Alliance, possible. As the executive levels of our political parties, we listened to the voice of our nation and we engaged ourselves in a sincere solidarity. Of course, being in an alliance on fundamental matters, such as the construction of the new administrative system, does not require the two parties to be on the same line on every matter. Of course, AK Party and the MHP, the Nationalist Movement Party, are two separate political parties with their own policies. Of course, we act jointly in matters of agreement, but in matters of disagreement, we are following our own specific paths. Over the recent period with the MHP, we have had differences of opinion in such matters as a potential amnesty, the national oath, the early retirement and the decision of the Council of State. Now, due to the importance we attach to the People's Alliance, we have tried as much as that has been possible to use a constructive language to make our differences of opinion clear. We, of course, will defend our policies to the end. But we never would even consider to be disrespectful to anyone. That isn't even a fleeting thought in our minds. And in fact, that kind of a rhetoric has no place in our way of doing politics. For instance, when the issue of an amnesty was first introduced, well, I gave an instruction to my friends immediately, and we actually looked into the matter in quite detail, and the results we obtained showed us that a regulation, as was proposed, would actually lead to consequences that would disrupt and disturb the conscience of our nation. That is why we try to explain through different examples why and that we actually did not have a favorable outlook on this proposal. So, the main principle here is that a state has the authority of pardoning and amnestying crimes committed against the state. But when it comes to crimes against a nation, people, to individuals, the state does not have the authority to pardon these crimes. Well, we have to first understand the following point very well. If justice is the foundation of the state, then we have to be just to keep the state alive. When you have drug lords and the other people assisting and working with the drug lords, I mean, we are fighting against drug lords, we are fighting against the dealers on the streets, and we're fighting against and dealing with the people who are abusing substances. Never in our history, in our past, have we been so successful in terms of fighting against drugs and drug production and drug utilization. In all of our regions across the country, we actually did whatever was necessary. We did all the interventions. We seized tons of substances, and right now across our prisons we have about 50,000 people convicted of drug-related charges and crimes. Now my question to our nation in front of their televisions watching us live: can you call these people victims of their fate? Well, some say they were tricked, they were fooled. What do you mean? What does it mean? These are not children of 6, 7, 8, 10 years of age. All of them knew what they were getting into. They used drugs, they sold drugs, they acted as the intermediary. Are these the people victims of their fate? On the other hand, you have murderers who killed people. Are we supposed to call them such a thing? A victim of their fate. You have thieves. Are they a victim of their fate? You take them out from prison, and then they go back to their old ways and steal even more. Are these people victims of their fate? Are the oppressors victims of their fate? And the list goes on and on. When you get the full list, you see what it's about. When it comes to crimes committed against the state, that's another thing, and whatever can be done on that front, we will try to do it. And our colleagues, of course, our friends, have been working on such issues, and they are continuing to work on these issues. When? How do you explain that? Dear brothers and sisters, similarly, there's this issue of people who have the hurdle of age when it comes to their retirement. Well, on that front, the burden was simply too heavy to be borne by our country, our nation. That was clear. Of course, the decision will be made by the parliament and by members of the parliament, as the president and the chairman of AK Party. It is also, of course, very clear for us to share these sensitivities of ours with our nation. But other than that and beyond that, it is not even possible for us to set our sights on any individual, institution, or any particular name. And I do believe that certain statements on social media were results of misunderstanding, and I was saddened to see some of those. Dear friends, another matter, the discussion around national oath. In fact, that's something I believed was in our past. Now, in 2013, we actually solved this. The relevant chamber of the Council of State, unfortunately, stepped out of its area of authority, as indicated to us by jurists who we hold very dear in our consideration of their experience and their competence. Unfortunately, they cancelled this regulation. And this decision opened this discussion, this debate that Turkey now does not, of course, deserve. And it goes to show that certain old diseases are still not completely gone. This is something that was initiated prior to the Second World War, when there was only one single political party, the CHP. It is wrong simply to continue to implement the same thing in today's Turkey that is democratic, libertarian, and that is well advanced compared to what we had then. It was Recep Tayyip, a medical doctor, who wrote the first draft of the national oath, but he's renowned for closing the nationalist centers, and he, of course, dealt a lot of damage to universities as well. This is an individual that supported studies that classified individuals according to their dimensions of their skulls, and he was also the architect of the oppression that was the daily prayer in Turkish. This is the person that wrote the national oath. And we're still discussing the national oath written by this individual, and then that text was changed and altered and used over time. The biggest oath for our nation, the most effective oath for our nation, is our national anthem. We do not recognize a national oath other than our national anthem, and we will not.
Biz sizlerle gurur duyuyoruz.
We are proud of you.
Ve bu tür tartışmalar
These kinds of discussions and debates go beyond daily politics, and they have symbolic meaning for our country's democracy and for our country's struggle for independence and the rights and our laws. Of course, I'm a Turk myself. But let me tell you that I am not a person defending Turkic ideology. Being a Turkish person, being a Turk is one thing, and defending those types of ideologies is something else. Our religion prohibits racism. Every ethnic component, ethnic group, can be proud of their own ethnic group. Turks can do this, Kurds can do this, the Circassians can do this, the Roma people can do this, but they don't necessarily adopt an ideology of their particular ethnicity. Well, you have the right to pursue such an ideology, but on the other hand, my Kurdish citizen, what right will they get? Well, they will get the right to pursue their own ideology of Kurdish identity. So let us leave the Turks be proud of their identity, the Kurds do the same thing, people from the Black Sea region, the Roma people, the Circassians, the Abkhazians. Let's leave all of these groups be proud of who they are, but let us not bring this into the dimension where things start to enter into the realm of racism. When you do that, you're discriminating. As AK Party, since our foundation, we have never made this mistake. Since the state, the Republic of Turkey, is the joint country and state of all our 81 million citizens, our elements of symbolic value should also encompass all of us. So the sign we have, the saying we have, the Rabia, is actually an embodiment of this understanding. We say single nation. When we say single nation, we're actually covering all of our 81 million citizens, regardless of their root, region, city, where they come from. That's simply beautiful. What else can be used to describe it in a nicer way? There is no discrimination in that saying. However different ethnic groups we have in Turkey, they all compose this single nation. My dear brothers and sisters, when we say single flag, it is our flag in honor of which our grandfathers, our sons shed their blood, or were at least ready to shed their blood, and that is the embodiment of our independence. As a third thing, when we say single homeland, well, it goes to say that every inch of this homeland belongs to every single one of us. In our time in power over the close to past 2 decades, have we refrained from taking our services to any part of the country? No, we haven't. We're present everywhere across the nation. We started with 76 universities. Now we have 206 universities in 81 provinces. We took services to all of our people. This goes to show that there is no discrimination. When you look at health, when you look at transportation, when you examine other fields, this is the thing you will see. When we say single state, it is, of course, the Republic of Turkey that is our situation in present time, in our vast history. That is the only state that we recognize.
Kardeşlerim, bizim ortaya koyduğumuz bu
brothers and sisters,
gençler, bu fotoğrafta tek tipçi rejim özentisi bir metnin.
So, in this picture, in this environment, is there really a place for a text being recited by our children every morning that is simply yearning to a regime that only had a single type of individual in mind? And, I mean, who benefits from a discussion that is now getting to a very low level based on the roots and origin of the president of our Committee on Constitutional Matters? Now, the member of our parliament, the president, the chair of our Committee on Constitutional Matters, has been a minister, has been a member of parliament for many years, but now this discussion is being used to threaten, to insult this individual. But I'm sorry, but my minister, of course, is not alone in this discussion. We here, all of us, are backing him up, are supporting him.
Ve doğrusu bakanımıza yönelik bu tehdidi ve hakareti.
And to be honest, this threat and this insult vis-à-vis our minister, well, I don't think that was fitting for a chairperson of a political party. I cannot sacrifice a companion of mine in this debate. Let this be known.
Zira benim bu yol arkadaşımın
Because this companion of mine has nothing to do with racism. He may be of Kurdish origin, but he himself
bu millete hizmet etmenin şuurunda
has the knowledge, the conscience, and the feeling for serving our nation in its entirety. Why are you shifting the focus of this discussion? Why are you trying to brand people one way or another? So let's leave it. Let's stop doing that. Also, this minister of ours served his nation and his city to at the greatest level, and we are the first ones to admit that. We will not allow any friend or colleague of ours to be insulted and to be threatened simply because they did what was their duty to do. We don't have a problem with the expressions in the text, don't have a problem with Turkish identity. And I will attend today the vision document presentation meeting of our Ministry of National Education. And this vision for 2023, of course, tells our children to be just, to be fair, to be hardworking, to protect people younger than themselves, and to be respectful to their elders. And we will try to instill in them the fact that they need to love their country. Also, similarly, we have taken ownership of the heritage of the Turkish nation inside and outside our national boundaries. It was us. We have done that. My beloved nation, everywhere, ranging from the Balkans to the Middle East, we renovated the heritage of our forefathers, and we made sure that they are preserved for generations to come. If certain people do not acknowledge this, what else can I do? We went to Mongolia together, and we built a road there, we constructed a museum there so that some of the oldest artifacts of Turkish history could be put on display there, and we were the ones to do that. Therefore, the issue here is not the concept of being a Turk or the recommendations that are part of the text that we're discussing. The problem is the mentality behind the text, the corrupted and distorted and understanding of denial that's in its spirit. We are trying to prepare Turkey for the world of future in terms of catching up with technologies. On the other hand, supporting efforts to bring this text back, that is again dating back to the climate we had in the country before the Second World War, while that cannot be explained by your love and affection for the nation and the country. If you love your country and your nation, you go ahead and equip your children with the skills and the knowledge that will make them successful. We are engaging in an alliance so that we can construct together the Turkey for 2023, 2053, 2071. Of course, we have respect to the political preferences of everyone, but we will not consent to this discussion being blown out of proportion, and it's harming our joint efforts. And therefore, we should not allow this difference of opinion to cast a shadow of doubt on our alliance, on the People's Alliance. Because the People's Alliance for us is a major achievement, one of the most important over the past couple of years, and we want to take it into the future. We have not been part of any efforts or initiatives that will harm the spirit of this alliance. The People's Alliance is something that our nation has trusted us with, and we must keep it above daily political discussions. But we have seen that the Nationalist Movement Party made a different choice. We'll respect that choice. The only thing we'll say is that if they want to go their separate ways in local elections, well, okay, so be it. We'll go our own separate way then. Dear friends, the upcoming period is very important in terms of the developments it will bring to us for our country, for our nation, for our political party. In our economy, we are now past the problems we have had for a while. We are entering into a new phase of improvement. There are critical developments in Syria and Iraq, in Europe, with which, of course, we have very close political, social, and economic ties, while there are internal political tremors, and Europe is going through tough days. The U.S. has, started to take steps in the military and commercial trade-related fields. We are in excellent relations with the countries of Central Asia, better than many years ago. Of course, the developments over the Gulf region, although they seem to have died down, we need to remain cautious. We are in significant efforts to have close ties established with Africa and South America. At the end of next month, I will go ahead and visit a number of South African countries when I go there for the G20 summit. The summit is going to be in Argentina this year, so we will hold the summit, and then I will go on a tour of the region while I'm there. And of course, we have the upcoming local elections. In March 2019, the success we'll achieve then, don't forget this, will pave the way for us for the rest of the period until 2023. So, as AK Party, we are in very hectic preparations, very strong preparations indeed for the 2019 elections. We have gathered together with our sub-provincial organizations, not provincial, mind you, sub-provincial organizations. And then I met a number of meetings with our provincial women's organizations, sub-provincial youth organizations. The meetings with them will be held soon, hopefully. And for a while now, we have, of course, been undertaking significant efforts at our HQ, at our party headquarters. So we're looking forward to your support in all of these efforts and activities. And hopefully soon enough, the preparation will reach a level of maturity, will determine our candidates for the major cities especially, but for the others as well, and we'll start the campaigning. And now there is an upcoming budget-related discussion period at the Parliament. I wish you all the success in this endeavor, which I believe will not be easy. So this Saturday, there will be a summit in Istanbul. At that summit, we will have the President of Russia, Mr. Putin, the President of France, Mr. Macron, and the Chancellor of Germany, Ms. Merkel. We will be all together, and that group of four, well, we will be together, we will be united in that summit in Istanbul. We will discuss a long list of issues, including but not limited to Idlib. And I hope that in Syria, especially as regards the matter of Idlib, we will make progress and take a significant step at the summit to install peace in this part of the world. And it is with these thoughts and emotions that I would like to salute you once again. I wish you all the success and wish you all the best. I'd like to thank our President for his remarks, and this concludes our parliamentary group meeting.
Sayın milletvekillerimiz, genel kurul bugün saat 15.00'da toplanacaktır. Genel kurulda hazır olmanızı önemli rica ediyorum.